What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another Bucks on Deck podcast episode. I'm Anthony Murphy. With me, as always, Nola Jeffy. What's going on, Nola? How's it going?
No, day in the life.
Another day in the
Enjoying
life,
the
having fun,
yeah, enjoying the heat.
enjoying the heat. It was. I walked out. What is it over the weekend? I walked outside, and I think it was over the weekend. Walked outside to take my dog out, and the humidity slapped me so hard in the face, and I'm like, "Oh wow, it's gonna rain, and it's gonna get nasty." Literally 20 minutes later, looked like it went from like morning to nighttime in like a span of like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
And I threw everything on charge because I knew we were going to lose power. And what do you know? Power started flickering like 15 minutes later. So
yeah. It's it. I actually had to come home from work early today and finish off at the house because the renovation we just did, the window they took out, it was like a single hung double wide window, so it was a big one. I had it listed on a offer up, and someone came to pick it up. And as soon as I got home, I had to take the dogs out and everything, make sure they were gonna be not be an issue. And dude, I was like, I need to change instantly because just being outside for like 2 minutes, I needed a shower at that point.
yeah, I'm glad it doesn't get. We have our moments in Virginia, but I don't think it's ever consistently like that on there. But it was good because we needed that rain. It'd been getting.
Yeah,
It'd been a while since we got any kind of rain whatsoever up this way. So
yeah, we're in the midst
that
of
was good.
hurricane season, so
Oof, yeah, that's rough.
rain, tropical storms, and humidity. It's fun.
um, you know what else is fun? Mock drafts. And
Ooh, we
we
like
had
them.
another one released. Did that get released this morning, or was that or like Monday morning, or was that like Sunday
No, it was this morning.
this morning?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Baseball
they.
America released another mock draft, which I guess technically we're at this point like 2 weeks away from the draft. So I don't know if it's
Mm,
going to be their last one or not, but they did the first like 39, 40 picks or something like that. So the Pirates were on there twice, and yeah, I think if the guy who they had the Pirates taken fell to 9, I think you and I'd be pretty happy with that.
I mean, I've been wanting him for over a year now, so I'd be
Oh,
happy.
yeah. So they had the Pirates taking Braden Montgomery with the ninth overall pick, outfielder from Texas A&M. I almost said Stanford, but yeah, you were in on him pretty early. You got me on the bandwagon pretty. Wasn't that hard of an? You didn't have to twist my arm too hard to get me on the bandwagon with him. But I think he was the guy that like we were obviously really high on going into the year, and this year started, and he just kept going and going and going, and I think it finally got to a point to where we just kind of had given up on any chance of the Pirates taking him at some point, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
but
yeah,
things happen in terms of injuries. Um, which in that case, Kurtz and Weatherholt fell due to injuries, but then they both came back and you know played like they hadn't missed a beat basically, so they kind of reasserted themselves.
yeah. So yeah, speaking of like Nick Kurtz on there, looking at the mock draft, some notable guys who were taken after the Pirates. This isn't in like order. Like I've reached back all the way. Like, I didn't go past like 15 or anything like that. But some notable names that they had the Pirates passing on: Connor Griffin, Nick Kurtz, James Tibbs. And I'm just going to throw this name out here too, just because I don't know, for whatever reason, watching the College World Series, like I've been a little bit higher on him lately. I'm not sure how I feel about the Pirates taking it, right? But Vance Honeycutt went like 12th to the Red Sox. I think so. Looking at those names there, is there anyone like putting aside the fact that we've been kind of big on the Montgomery bandwagon for a while? Is there anyone there that they passed up on that you think maybe they could make a case that the Pirates would go that way instead?
Yeah, depending. Because I've seen there's been a few times that mentioning, I think even in this BA one, yeah, that the Pirates were scouting the top two high schoolers, which would be Rayner and Griffin, pretty heavily. So there's probably a possibility of Griffin, which I mean I've seen Griffin in the top 5 just prior to the Pirates pick, shortly after the Pirates pick. I know I was reading that like Caminiti's been kind of a fast riser.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's always a possibility with their love of or ability to develop pitchers. But they do seem to like to get those kind of guys in the second, third round. So
Yeah.
there's no one I would say that I would be upset on passing because there's really like a group that considering picking 9th that I'd be kind of cool with regardless, depending on what they did the rest of the draft.
That's fair. That's fair. And we'll get to that here in a second. But with the 37th pick, they had the Pirates taking Bryce Message, high schooler. His uncle is the bullpen coach for the Pirates, so there's a little familiarity there.
Justin Message.
Yep. So he's on Baseball America. He's the 71st ranked prospect. Throws 4 pitches: fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. 3/4 arm slot. The Pirates like their guys that throw it a little bit lower. 6'4", 190. Got up to 96. Can get up to 96 so far. Kind of feels like your prototypical Pirates overslot pitcher kind of, or prep pitcher kind of thing at that point, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, and I actually think BA is the lowest on him at 71 because Pipeline has him at 51 currently.
So there's a little smoke there. Because they've had him. That's the last 2 mock drafts. I think that they've had him there for the Pirates. So and to like thinking back to it too, it's like it seems like there's a lot of talk about the Pirates going like prep pitcher with that 37th pick because I think it was BA like the mock before that also had one, or like it was like Future Star Series also had like a prep pitcher, and they said that there's like a couple prep guys that they had been linked to as well, or I think they had a high school hitter with that pick there. But it does seem like a lot of people are favoring like the prep ranks for that 37th pick so far.
Yeah. They I think Future Star Series I want to say has had Carter Johnson the last 2 times. The prep shortstop that's committed to is it Ole Miss, I want to say. I don't recall correctly, but is it Dax? I don't know if he was mocked to them in ESPN with Kylie's mock draft, but I think he mentioned Dax Whitney, I want to say.
Yeah, it's like a kind of like a rumor kind of thing that he's been hearing.
Yeah, and then I think at one point there was a Malcolm Moore, a catcher, I want to say. But, I mean, just to throw it back a little bit, because I still remember the one tidbit in his scouting report last year. They had some catcher from Davidson, and not a guy I had heard of, and I forget where he went, but, I mean, obviously that's not the route they went. But, yeah, I still remember I don't remember his name specifically, but I still remember the pick specifically just because they had mentioned something with regards to in his collegiate career of like over 1,100 pitches he'd seen in his collegiate career, only like 10 of them were 95 mile per hour above. But I mean, because yeah, even I'm drawing a blank now. Who's the was it the Virginia shortstop?
Oh, Griffin Farrell.
Yeah, I've seen Griffin Farrell, and I'm like, please no.
That'd be like Mitch Jebb if Mitch Jebb could play shortstop. That's pretty much what that pick. That's what that would be.
Which, and yeah, I think that was the Future Star Series where they had Carter Johnson with rumblings of a Farrell.
Yeah. So there's like the thing with this draft is like it can go so many ways. I feel like this has been like a really tough draft to kind of gauge just because, and then when you think about I know you've mentioned quite a bit, like on Twitter and stuff like that. Like there are quite a few teams that are picking ahead of the Pirates that notoriously throw like giant wrenches into the draft with stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, and so that can cause one or even two, maybe even more names to in your top tier of players to slip to the Pirates at that point, and then whatever plan you kind of had there is kind of just out the window. Um, but like thinking about the draft and stuff like that, let's say that you're running the draft at this point for the Pirates. What's your approach to it?
Well, under the assumption that Burns and Hagen Smith are gone, my direction would probably be taking one of the better college hitters who's available. And I mean, to me, it could be you could go Tibbs, you could go Kurtz if he's available. If Weatherholt somehow falls, gladly take him. Montgomery, but preferably, I think they should take a college hitter. And then with their second pick, I feel like there's some pretty nice quality collegiate hitters in that 30-40 range they should take with their second pick. And then I think their second rounder, third rounder, third, fourth pick, that's where they could, attempt a prep pitcher, prep position player.
That's fair. That's fair. So you're just you want to go like the heavy hitting route, especially early, heavy college hitting route.
Yeah, and I mean, preferably, I would like them to get some, athletes. We'll say, because I mean, they're struggling with hitting, they're struggling defensively. That's why, I feel like for me, what would be great, I would love if they could get like Montgomery 1.9, and then if Kalen Culpepper could fall to their second pick, would be fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a really be hard to argue. That'd be something to be disappointed about. The thing that worries me, and I've been thinking about the draft, especially under like Charrington and stuff like that, is like I'm sure Nick Kurtz is a really good hitter, and I guess if they took him at 1.9, like maybe it works. Like drafting a first baseman in the top 10 historically hasn't worked out well. But also too, like when you think about some of the guys that they've drafted in the first round, like hitting wise, they're very positionally limited, and they're like hit first, they're hit only kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I kind of feel like the Pirates could lean into that direction if they go there. I'm with you, unless like Chase Burns or Hagen Smith drops, like one of the college hitters. That's who you take. You take whoever your best college hitter is on your board when your pick comes up. Run, grab him, whatever. If it's Weatherholt, sprint to the podium to drop his name off because that's.
And I'm not even against if they went, Connor Griffin, who's an uber talented kid with what they say is arguably the highest upside. But then again, like second, third pick, I would prefer if they try to get a couple collegiate hitters in there,
Mm-hmm. So like, does that mean like you're looking more for safer kind of things, like guys that like the higher floor kind of guys that you just want to get something out of these picks at this point, or is it just because you
not necessarily? I mean, someone relatively in the fashion of what they did the last 2 years, where they said that, they're picking all these pitches because they needed to fill up a pitching gap in the minors, essentially. So they're picking all these pitchers that you presumed, could move pretty quickly to get up to Greensboro and Altoona to backfill what was a pretty dire situation in essence. And I feel like they're kind of reaching that point with the hitting to where, I mean, they were having to essentially put Altoona bench players as starters in Indy.
Mm-hmm.
and some of those guys have gone back. I mean, Hendry's now back in Greensboro.
Playing outfield.
Playing outfield. That was the weirdest thing ever. But I just think it's time they need to get some guys, and that's why, like I say, like a Kalen Culpepper, watching him, he's a guy. I don't necessarily. I think he's safe in a sense that he looks capable of playing shortstop. So worst case scenario, he's got to move off the position, and he didn't hit for in essence didn't hit for a lot of power, but you also watched him in the regionals to where it's like, no, there's definitely potential for future power output in the bat.
Yeah. How heavy? Because you kind of brought up with like their strategy with the pitching and stuff like that. How heavy are you looking to go? And I know you can't completely go into the mindset going into it because a lot of things can happen. So you don't know what's going to happen. But are you wanting like a draft flip flop from what they've done like the previous years to where it's been like 15, 16, 17 pitchers to like 3 or 4 hitters? Are you looking to like just flip flop that this time around?
Basically.
Yeah. So you just want to just infuse the system with like a whole new look, pretty much, like hitting wise.
Pretty much. And now, I mean, there's going to be issues with it, considering the new roster reserves, and this would be a good Ethan question, or to bounce off of him. But I know I kind of wanted him to do it last year, as I wanted him to take advantage of the undrafted free agent bonuses. And I mean, hell, you could do it with hitters too. I mean, you got a max of $150,000 for an undrafted undrafted draft pick free agent. Before it counts against the pool. And I mean, they didn't even spend to the pool amount, let alone into the 5% overage. I mean, let's see, I got the number right here. Was it $14,500,000 is their pool? And with the 5% overage, they have $14,700,525. So whether it's pitchers, hitters, I mean, they've been doing pretty well with finding, these gem type of guys that if they needed to, I mean, because what the Angels did at the 1 year too, although I think that was the odd year, I don't remember, but they signed like, I'm probably embellishing, but like 20 undrafted pitchers.
I know, yeah. The Angels have gone like crazy heavy on pitching. Went like crazy heavy on pitching at one point, and I mean, I wouldn't mind like infusing a bunch of new hitting talent and stuff like that. Part of me goes back to I'm leaning like college hitter right now on there, but if you're infusing like all this like new hitting talent and something like that, I feel like it'd be kind of cool to have like one guy with like just this superstar upside that you're also adding to it. And I feel like someone like adding like Connor Griffin and then like all of these like college guys behind him, I feel like that might be like a interesting route for them to go.
I think that'd be great too.
Yeah. So like you go like Connor Griffin with your first pick, and then you load up on all these college guys that, okay, maybe they don't have like the highest ceiling, but there's potential there, if you can find something there. And it's a lot like the pitching, like you're throwing a bunch against the wall. So, you would think a couple there would stick and stuff like that. But then you have like this one guy just kind of leading the pack. And I don't think like, at least hitting wise, I mean, probably argue like Lonnie White is probably the guy that just has like that tool set that's just like the complete package kind of thing. And I think so adding someone like Connor Griffin would just give you another one like that with obviously more upside than what Lonnie White has at that point.
Right.
Who, like what Jim Callis was on NS9 last week, and he was talking about like he could play shorts. Like he could probably start out at shortstop and then kick out to center field if that doesn't work. Pirates don't have many guys that are capable at either of those two positions, really.
I mean, unless this Javier Rivas breakout's a real deal.
I mean, that would be that he went from like a -5 WRC plus to like he's right at around like 100 right now. So that'd be something. That would be something.
Well, that's what and I was thinking too, because looking at some of the bonuses from last year, I mean, essentially, like what the Marlins did is they took 2 prep pitchers and they essentially bought one down to their second pick for a little over $4 million, and that's where I'm like, maybe they could find a pitcher they like and be like, hey, we're gonna assure you this much money. I would, if they could get, say, somehow talk like Cam Nitty, who's kind of ranked all over the place right now. I mean, anywhere from I think 11th to 20th, roughly. If they could somehow be like, hey, we'll give you $4 million if you balk at everybody else, and we'll take you with our third pick. Like, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it'd be great to see them set aside, and roughly, if you could get a Caminiti to move down, say $6 million set aside for like a prep shortstop and a prep Caminiti, or maybe $5 million for another prep pitcher and a prep shortstop.
Yeah. And I was looking at it when we were talking about this. I was looking at some of the names from like the third round on and stuff like that. There's some interesting names and stuff like that, and most of them look like they're like you would probably have to save. I mean, well, Brandon Winokur was about like 650,000 over slot on here. Eric Baitoni was almost $1 million over. So, but those guys were a lot.
Yeah, but even so, I mean, Baitoni got, $1.75 million. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, you could get
it. It sounds like it's a lot over, but when you think about where the slot would be at that point, it's not as bad, and it's like as we've seen in years prior, it's not hard to create that space with there. Yeah, I mean, you can take
well, and that's I
and lowball them pretty.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Collazo, Ponce, or maybe Cooper, or one of the other Baseball America guys. Like, they put something about the bonus pools, I want to say, an article or something, and people comment. I was like, I really don't care about the slot amounts. It's the overall pool amount is what matters. Like, what the Pirates have $14 million. Slot amounts, who gives a shit? What can you do with this $14 million? Can you get, whatever hitter? If you're going to get a Griffin, he's probably going to take $7 million. And then you still got $7 million to play around with. You can maybe get one of the college guys for $5.5 million, $6 million. You got another $1.5 million to play with. Mm-hmm. That's what I said. And then put $5-6 million to the next 2 picks.
Do you have what the slot amount is for the first pick for the Pirates this year is in front of you?
It is $6,216,000.
Yeah. There's a lot you can do whenever you look at it, like more of the bigger picture kind of thing. And the system definitely needs a infusion of some hitting talent. No matter how you do it, I think it's time to get some new faces in there and stuff like that. Some guys that have the potential to make an impact past the AA level, pretty much.
Figure out what you saw in McAdoo and replicate that into new hitter prospects.
Basically. Yeah. So, it'll be interesting. And we're probably next week. I don't think we've decided yet. We're kind of waiting to hear back on some stuff to figure out for sure. But we're either gonna next week's episode is gonna be fully dedicated to the draft, or we're gonna have like a separate episode as well for it. So we can get into much more details then as far as like players we're watching and whatnot and stuff like that. We might even do like a mini mock run through, like a speed run through like the first 10-15 picks or something like that. But did you have anything else on like the draft or anything like that you wanted to put in real quick?
Nothing particularly.
Nothing particularly. Okay. So moving on.
Make good picks.
Yeah, make good picks. Like Mitch Jeb. Mitch Jeb was a good pick. I mean,
he's on a tear.
You know who's not on a tear right now? Charles McAdoo.
Hey, he got a single in the ninth today.
No, I mean, he's been fine, but there's been a couple of bats where he's looked really out of sorts. But so the next topic, and this one came up kind of late too. MLB Pipeline just did an update for the top 100 for their top 100. I guess we wanted to touch on that real quick. Not too much changed. Obviously, Paul Skeens graduates. He with Pipeline, he had been graduated a little bit longer than like everywhere else, right?
Just
they
like
go by
2-3 days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they do service time on there, right? So
yeah, that's what I mean. He would have technically graduated tonight, but they didn't play. So when Baltimore plays tomorrow, Hessen Kerstad will graduate Pipeline.
So we'll have more movement then. Pirates, 3 players in the top 100. Bubba Chandler, Tamar Johnson, Anthony Salametto. Bubba Chandler was the big riser. He jumped, what did you say, 20 spots?
Let's see what he's at, 52, and he was 62, 10 spots.
10 spots, okay. 10 spots. Tamar dropped. Salametto dropped. So Bubba, obviously, I talked about him a little bit this morning. He's been quite a tear on there. Do you have anything you wanted to add on Bubba about his rise, his play, where you think how far he may be able to go on a list like this?
I mean, he keeps this up the rest of the season, he's going to rock it up. Yeah, I mean, but it was kind of popped in my mind. I was just wondering if maybe this is just Bubba going forward, where he's just cold for the first couple months and then just goes on a heater the rest of the season. That's why, come next year, I mean, he could be next year's Jared Jones, if they really wanted. But it'd be nice to see him, we'll say, going into 2025, do this kind of stuff from jump, Yeah.
Is there anything you'd still like to see from him before you'd start kind of pounding the table for him to move up to AAA?
Before moving up to AAA, nah.
No, just kind of pull the trigger kind of thing.
Yeah, just go.
Yeah, I mentioned it on NSI this morning that like I feel like Jared Jones got promoted for a lot less than I mean, well, like the numbers still look a little bit better for Jared Jones, but like I don't ever remember Jones having like a streak like Bubba's having right now, or even look this lights out that Chandler is doing right now. So
yeah, and I think you even mentioned too about like the defense.
Yeah,
I mean, hell, the defense and the bullpen. Where, I mean, numbers would probably look a lot better if it wasn't for that defense and bullpen a lot of times. Because was it Mice came in the other day and gave up the 2 earned runs?
Yeah. When Chandler left the game, he hadn't allowed a run yet, but there's 2 guys on, and you kind of spoke it into existence, I guess, in our group chat with. So obviously Bubba's on the rise. Not really great to hear that the only other 2 guys on, and I'll say this too, like I'm not downing anything, but I don't think like Pipeline, like it doesn't feel like outside of their top 100, which there is some moving up and down and stuff they do. I don't feel like there's too much there. Always feels like there's more they can do with that with their rankings and whatnot. And
Yeah, it feels like, especially when they're doing like adding players to the back end, and when they do a update list, it seems like they kind of they hold on to guys for longer than other publications, and they also will jump on hype trains quickly.
yeah, which I guess it's not a bad thing to hang on to certain players and stuff like that, because these are kids, they're prospects and stuff like that, so they're working on stuff. So I can't fault them to an extent for holding fast on some names, but like for as far as the Pirates go, I mean, you got Bubba that's up, and then the only other two names on the top 100 list, they're dropping pretty quickly, and you could probably make a case that Bubba could be the only one on there by the time the season's done, which I guess isn't good.
Yeah, and then Tamar's kind of doing the Nick Gonzalez right now, I guess, but at a younger age, because wasn't it like he was a top 100 prospect after getting drafted, then he started slow, and they drop him, then he'd go on a tear, and they'd rise him, and they come the next year, he'd start out slow, they'd drop him, he'd go on a tear, and they'd raise him. It's kind of what's going on with Tamar right now, where, yeah, at least with Pipeline, I think they're kind of getting similar to kind of when we redid our list, benefit of the doubt given age.
Yeah. So I'll say, so like, I mean, that's kind of a good sign though with him, is because like they want to buy into it so bad because they know the potential kind of thing. So they start seeing him hit a little bit, and then it's kind of like, okay, well, is he finally doing the thing? Is he finally breaking out? So they jump back on and kind of like rocking him up the rankings, and then he hits a wall again. It's like, oh, wait, no, we got to back off a little bit and stuff like that. So
it did just make me curious. So the last Baseball America came out June 5th. Because it was, I want to say it was like almost as soon as that came out, and even I think the Fangraphs finally came out, and it was like all of a sudden Tamar went on his tear.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to see real quick.
And then the other name on there, Anthony Salamedo, he's obviously not having the best of seasons right now. Currently on the development list. He's not hurt. He's on the development list. Walking a lot of hitters right now, so I'm sure that's the development list stays to kind of work on the mechanics, kind of fine-tune stuff, get him back to where he was before. Since the control has always been such a big part of his game. I know we talked about him not too long ago about not trying to panic too much with him because he is 21 and stuff like that. So I can see what maybe they're taking that kind of thought process with it and say, like, let's not panic too much. Like, we know the skill, we know the talent, we know he's young for the level and stuff like that. But not encouraging that he's been on, and that he's been on the development this long. So I can't remember when the last time he pitched. I think it has to be going close to a month now that he's been on. So.
Yeah, but and even then, like a full on, I guess I don't know if I want to say a full on start, but he had been out of the bullpen a couple times, and then just like an opener.
Yeah, it's only like two maybe 3 innings max at a time, and it's definitely like. It always kind of seemed that like when he did start out good that first inning, like things would just start unraveling by the second or third that he's in there and stuff like that. So,
wait, which I do want to. So, not including today, where not including Monday evening, as this will release Tuesday. Tomorrow went 1 for 3 with a walk, a strikeout, and a stolen base. But since the Baseball America June update on June 5th, Tamar has had a 782 OPS, a 123 WRC plus.
Which isn't bad. And like he's 20 playing in high A.
Yeah, so it's like that list came out, and he was like, "I'm gonna show you."
Yeah, and like see that too. And then there's been like moments and like flashes, and I saw him like smack a couple baseballs the other way last week, and but then like watching the game Monday night, the night we're recording, and man, he was so out and over top of a couple of changeups that like I felt the breeze coming through my TV screen at that point. It was bad. So a lot of work
I need
with
that
tomorrow.
breeze down here.
Yeah, no kidding. But like they said, he's only 20. There's time. We'll see how that goes. But I think we just wanted to run through the pipeline update with that too, because that seemed interesting on there, and we'll kind of see if anyone else can kind of crack the list by the end of the season. I'm sure whoever the Pirates take in the first round will probably end up in the could end up in the top 100.
I'd say Harrington and Ashcraft might crack a list or two.
They might, depending how long the Ashcraft's out. That would kind of suck if he's out for. I'm still kind of holding out hope that they just kind of. This is like a phantom thing to kind of watch the innings and stuff like that going into like the little break and whatnot.
And who knows
on that? But
yeah, I am too. And who knows? They might crack the list in another organization too.
Yeah. Speaking of that, time for the main part of the thing we want to get together is what everyone loves the most. The thing that pretty much has been fueling Twitter for the last couple of weeks, and we'll do some. We're going to do some semi trade talks, and more specifically, the thing that the Pirates have the most of, and that's pitching prospects.
Mm-hmm.
What we wanted to do was talk about some of the top guys and I guess who we would trade or who would be least willing to trade, maybe that kind of thing. You want to kind of do that? Do you just want to like run through like the top guys in the system and kind of go yes or no? Do you want to put them in order or?
Well, I'm just gonna lay it out in a way of like I don't believe. I think even Mike was it Mike Petrillo mentioned it to someone when he was like, "No prospect is truly untouchable."
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
Depending on the package, I mean, if you're gonna get like a Juan Soto and you got to give up Bubba, Tamar, and whatever else, I mean, let's go. But for me, for a quote unquote untouchable would probably be Bubba, would be number one.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, they're kind of interchangeable. The second and third pitchers, I would prefer to hold on to would be in one way or another, like Thomas Harrington and Hunter Barco. Obviously, as of now, Ashcraft is ranked roughly around Harrington, higher than Barco. But I just believe that Harrington's got a little more upside, projectability still.
Mm-hmm.
And, Hunter Barco, especially watching him the other night, where he was holding 93, 94 late into his start, touching 96. They don't grow left-handers like that on trees. Yeah. So, and I mean, from a hitting perspective, if you got to pair, say, Ashcraft with Chang and some low-level guy, I'm cool with it.
Yeah. For me, Bubba is as close to untouchable as I think anyone can be. I think to move Bubba it'd have to be like a elite package that you're doing, and then even then,
yeah,
I have questions about the Pirates' ability to put together that kind of complete package to compete with other teams.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big Luis Robert guy, but like let's say him. If you're only talking like if the White Sox are only going to call the Pirates and say we're only going to deal with you, put a package together, sure they could put something together. But once you start throwing in other teams, the Cubs, the Mariners, the Padres, and they start one-upping each other, that's where I feel like the Pirates are going to quickly fall out of the race in a lot of stuff.
Probably. Which, I mean,
they have Bubba, which is as good of a trade piece that's going to be out there.
Yeah.
But then they don't really have that guy that I feel comfortable can ride along with him at that. Like maybe the White Sox are incredibly high on Tamar Johnson. Like we don't know that. But like me personally, like I'm not. If I'm in the White Sox position, I'm not too high on Tamar right now. Not enough to take him as like the second guy in a trade for a guy like Luis Robert. So if the Pirates aren't going to be dealing in that elite pack, and I don't think they should be anyways. I don't think they need to be. I don't think they should be. I think they can. And there's like another thing that I think the Pirates have a lot of that I talk about here, like quickly once we're done with the pitching thing. So when you start looking at the other guys available, at that point, Bubba's untouchable. There's no one. If you're not going to compete for an elite level package, then the guys that you are going to go after, like I'm not putting Bubba in there. I'm okay if I call them and they say, well, we want Bubba, then like, okay, well, have a good day kind of thing.
Right.
After that, I like what you said about Barco, and I do agree with that. Like I love my lefties. So seeing that velocity play deep into games and stuff like that would be very fun to add and a rotation with those kind of guys in there. I would lean to be willing to be okay with moving him. Then at that point, I think right now probably Braxton Ashcraft is probably your best trade piece right now because he provides the perfect combination of upside and major league readiness that you can get out of a prospect.
And that's kind of why, like for me, I'd lean towards trading him depending on the return.
Yeah, he's absolutely, and like obviously we have to wait to see what kind of injury we're dealing with it and what's going on and all that stuff, get him back healthy and everything like that. But he's the guy that I'm absolutely moving right now because like if Marco Gonzalez made a rehab start, you have your rotation is like I don't think the rotation is as set to round out the regular season as maybe we think. Like there's a lot of talk about like how well the Pirates rotation would do in the playoffs, and that is true. When you can limit it down just to 3 guys, like it's there's not many teams that's going to be able to go toe to toe with the Pirates right now when it comes to that. But the only thing with that is they have to finish out the regular season first.
True.
Yeah. I think they have enough pieces there to where they can probably piece stuff together, like put the stuff together to get through the regular season. That Braxton Ashcraft is that guy that you probably just throw out there on the table and make a move to bring in some sort of hitter or something like that.
And I mean, especially with all these guys coming back right now, like yes, Martin Perez had a rough start, but he just came back. Marco rehab. Quinn just rehabbed. I mean, Harrington will probably be up in AAA at some point later in the season. I mean, Ortiz pretty much threw 6 innings on a whim. Because even were just making me think, of everybody talking about how they have a 3-starter capable rotation for the playoffs, and even then, you would kind of want to be assured a spot in essence. But I mean, if you get to the playoffs, like, do you really even want like a Marco on your roster? Is he going to be your crafty lefty in the bullpen? I mean, when you still have a Borucki, and then you would also have Martin, like
you probably need one of those two. And Martin Perez, he did it last year for the Rangers, so I'd probably leave with him.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I don't even know if Marco would make a playoff roster.
No. Because you have Falter, too. Falter and Martin Perez.
Yeah. So I think that's where – yeah, go ahead.
But I don't know. I was saying I think they could piece enough together there. They can, with what Ortiz has shown that he's capable of, like you can kind of help manage. Like my original thought is you hang on to Ashcraft, and as much as people don't want to hear it, you keep him in AAA to use, because I see this a lot around the league and stuff like that. They'll call up one of their AAA depth guys to give all the starters an extra day, and we're talking about how much they want to give Jones and Skeens, stretch them out so to make sure they finish the season and stuff like that. You keep your rotation as is, and then maybe once every couple of weeks or something like that, you call up Ashcraft to spot start, push everyone back a day. You can also toss Ortiz in there for like a bullpen game. You can at like down the stretch, you can even have like a whole week where you only use everybody one time because you go through your regular rotation, you bring up like Ashcraft, and then you use Ortiz in like a bullpen game or something like that.
Yeah, I want to say the Twins were basically doing that with Simeon Woods Richardson, weren't they?
Yeah,
They brought him up for like a start. He pitched well, and they sent him right back down. They brought him up again, pitched well, sent him right back down.
And that's, I mean, the one of the notable teams I've noticed that they did that for a little stretch was like the Texas Rangers, and that was like the only reason that Jack Leiter made his debut is because they wanted to get like give their starters like an extra stretch of a day off and stuff like that. So he came up, made his debut. I think he pitched like twice or something like that, and then they ended up sending him back down. He came up again late, like a little bit later, and pitched again. I mean, wasn't pitching well, but
so it probably didn't help that he got rocked.
Yeah. But yeah. So, I mean, Ashcraft is like it's interesting because, like I said, it's a good presence of upside, and he pitched now, and like if the team that is trading, they're like selling and they need people to fill innings, he can not only fill innings now, but he could be part of your future rotation as well.
Well, that's why I don't want to use the word that he's necessarily expendable, but
no, for
he's
the right
an
deal.
asset. He's an asset.
He's an asset that they could use in the right situation and stuff like that. And I feel like if Bubba's off the table, he's probably the top guy.
Yeah, because even thinking, I mean, obviously you want to think about potentially like 2024 MLB playoffs, they make a run. But you're also, thinking ahead to 25. Like, I mean, you pretty much have your three-headed horse already, presuming health. And, I mean, Falter could be probably even put out there for a team that wants a guy to move into a rotation now. But, theoretically you have him next year. Then there would be Ashcraft, Harrington, Barco in AA. I mean, Dotel and Urkelani might be in AA. Patrick Riley. Like, they're going to have, like, 25 and forward, they're going to have arms.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it could be a case of, like, just, like, bad timing for Ashcraft. Like, he's in the middle of, like, he's not quite ready to be like a full-time part of the staff just because of like the options they have right now. And I think if like Bailey Falter isn't having the kind of season that he's having now, maybe this is a different question. Maybe Ashcraft is like pushing a lot harder for a spot now. But then like you look at the guys behind him as well, like Bubba, obviously Harrington, Barca, all of them. Like there really doesn't feel like there's a lot of room for Ashcraft. I don't think it's. Maybe the stuff plays a little bit better in the bullpen and stuff like that. But really, you probably just get more value out of trading him now for a hitter, knowing that you're pretty set now and you're definitely set for the future with the guys that are coming. So,
and that's where, I mean, I know we've talked on the side. I've seen names thrown around on Twitter. It's just where, I mean, I feel like there's a pretty big basket of, outfielders, because that's probably what they need the most, that they could go after and get even one or two of them rather easily where they're not going to lose too much, I mean, I mean, Jesus Sanchez, Jazz Chisholm. Please, people, stop throwing out Brian De La Cruz. I do not want. I will throw something on my TV if they get Brian De La Cruz. I will be so mad. But Taylor Ward, Like honestly, Taylor Ward makes so much sense. Really,
It does. It does.
like
It
when
makes
I
perfect
was looking
sense.
into him more, I'm like, he actually makes a lot of sense, and would not cost much.
And it's because it's the Angels.
Yeah,
You probably run one by them anyways.
and I mean they clearly we could probably trade him a complex league player, and they would put him straight into majors.
Richard Ramirez. um, yeah. So the Pirates have a lot of pitching there. Oh, like we didn't even mention like Mike Burrows as a guy as an option too.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, probably not this year. He probably like he's the perfect guy to talk if you want to talk about like guys you could throw into the bullpen the rest of the year. I feel like this year.
yeah,
But even then, going into next year, he's an option for like the rotation that they have, and that's just another spot that Ashcraft and like we talked about it. I don't know if it was last week or the week before that like all things aside, health wise, we probably take Burrows over Ashcraft at that point.
yeah. And really,
At
I
their
mean,
best.
and bringing it back, I mean, this is all even not considering that maybe whatever they're doing developmentally on backfields, whatever, Solo Meadow might come back looking good again.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, they've been. It sounds like they're. It's been a while since he's pitched, so I mean, they could be cooking something strong up. He comes out there and he's back to like what is it? I found video of him pitching in high school where he was hitting 94, 95.
Yeah,
Maybe he comes back and he's back like that again.
maybe.
We don't know. So, you did mention the complex thing, and it's something I wanted to mention too. When you're looking at I don't like obviously more needs to be added to it to get like a significant thing. But like I said, I don't think the Pirates need to go for that elite level player. I mean, I think you can even go for some guy like if you're looking to like some buy low guys kind of thing. The Pirates have a lot of the lottery ticket type of players down there in the lower levels, and that kind of showed in like the Fangraphs rankings. Like there's some interesting guys down there in the complex that I don't know if they're going to headline a trade unless it's for like an ultimate buy low kind of player or like a buy low platoon kind of player or something that's going to help a very specific part of the roster and stuff like that. But there's a lot of guys down there that I feel like you can toss out there, and they have the kind of upside that's intriguing enough to maybe get some teams interested.
Yeah, I mean, I know Connor Williams was talking to me on the side, and he wants to throw Tony Blanco Jr. at somebody, and I mean, he would be a very intriguing, lottery pick piece.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't carry the trade, but
No,
he'd be interesting.
Yeah, no, and you think about it too, like obviously like the big thing you think about like lottery picks and stuff like that. It's the Pirates getting like O'Neal Cruz for
Right.
Tony Watson and stuff like that, and when like you can't even really compare Blanco and Cruz at that point because like Cruz was like a shortstop, and value wise that carries a heck of a lot more than
Right.
someone who's obviously going to be best case scenario limited to just first base, if not just a designated hitter.
I mean, maybe there's someone enamored with like a Yordani De Los Santos. Richard Ramirez, Big Rich is untouchable. I'm throwing him back out there now. So
yes. But like, yeah, like even like him, Miguel Sosa had, he's done some. He's elevating the ball a little bit more since the he like changed his batting stance. Even like down in the Dominican, there's some guys too down there too, and I know like they talk about some of them on Fangraphs and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of different ways that they can go, and I think the Pirates can be a lot more creative than some of the stuff that I've seen like on Twitter with stuff like that. And like I'll just say this with it, this isn't like to down him or anything like that. But if your trade proposal has Anthony Solometo in it right now, it's probably not a good trade.
Especially as like a headliner.
Yeah. Like if you want,
unless they're dealing with the opposing Ben Charrington version, and they're just absolutely love him the way Ben loved Marcano, maybe they might be like, hey, all we gotta do is fix this, and he's gonna be golden. So,
I mean, someone could see something there, and we don't know how teams feel about other players and stuff like that. But for at the moment, I'm not saying this is how it is the rest of the way. There isn't much added value in putting him in a trade right now.
no.
So any other trade stuff that you have, or did you want to run through the preview real quick?
I think the only last thing I would throw in is who put that Garrett Crochet trade together. Yeah, and I was like, why? Like, cool. We're gonna have the most ridiculous pitching staff possible on face Earth, and then just lose games 2-1.
I can dig it. I will say, in my head, this is how the story goes in my head. They read my stuff on Antoine Kelly, and that's why they added him to that trade.
There you go.
Because they know.
There you go.
That's where we're going. That's what we're going with.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. So interesting week. I'll give you I'll ramble on here a second while you pull up your preview.
I got
interesting week because usually Mondays minor league teams are off, so usually this kind of kicks off the week and everything like that because of the 4th. Everyone's playing on Monday, and then they're going to get like a extra day off at the end of the week. So they're going to do Monday through Saturday with Sunday and the following Monday off.
Yeah, which was kind of weird. I thought maybe they were going to give them a day off in the middle of the week.
I think I could have swore that I remember last year. It was last year, the year before, but that could have been because like the 4th was like closer to the beginning of the week. That a lot of the teams played on Monday and then they were just off on Tuesday, and then they just picked things that I think that's how they've done it before. So I don't think this is like a regular occurrence the way that they're doing it.
No,
right now.
Well, yeah, and it's weird because essentially they're all levels are playing 12 games in 12 days.
Yeah,
but then the second set of 6 is a split home and home series, 3-3. Mm-hmm. So 3 of the affiliates are on the road for 3 games and then come back home for 3 games. I think what was it? Bradenton was the only, was it Greensboro because they were in Aberdeen? Are the only ones that? On the road. Bradenton's the only one that's home for 3 and then goes on the road for 3. Kicking off with Indianapolis, they're playing the Louisville Bats, Cincinnati Reds AAA team. Not a lot of top prospects to speak of. Their top-ranked player is Blake Dunn. If that name rings a bell to anybody, it's probably because you saw him take a 102-mile-per-hour heater straight to the dome from Emmanuel Clace. Broke the helmet. He just popped up, smiled, and ran to first base. And I don't know if that's healthy.
Should be playing hockey, not baseball.
Right? Yeah, and what I thought was fun to look up was he was hit 32 times last year. So far he's been hit 47 times in 232 professional games. I don't recall if he got hit tonight, so I'm not sure. Henry Davis had been hit 43 times in 238 games. So he's getting hit at a higher rate than even Henry Davis was. And then also, for fun, Eric Gonzalez is on the Louisville Bats. Everyone remembers and loves him. So just after Indianapolis played the Nationals AAA affiliate last week, Altoona is playing Harrisburg, the AA Nationals affiliate. Lighter than usual because obviously Dylan Cruz moved up to AAA. The top-ranked prospect is Brady House, consensus top 100. Yohandy Morales, although actually I didn't even look at that. Let me make sure he's still on there because they had to hit me with this last second, and he is actually not. So He's not a top 100 prospect anymore, but he's on the IL anyways. Robert Hassel III also on IL. Yeah, they lost 2-1 Monday evening. It was kind of a slow game. Then Greensboro, who went on a bit of a home run frenzy Monday evening, they're playing the Aberdeen Ironbirds of the Baltimore Orioles high A affiliate. Top-ranked prospect is Enrique Bradfield Jr., 5th overall. First-round pick, 17th overall in 2023. They also have Matt Horvath, their second-round pick in 2023 out of UNC. Then Bradenton playing against the Fort Myers Mighty Muscles, the Twins affiliate, where Walker Jenkins, their first overall pick, is finally healthy against
And he
Bradenton
didn't
this year.
play on Monday.
What if he
all year to see that man play?
What if he ends up on like the IL or developmental list tomorrow?
I will just refuse to believe he's real, except for the fact I saw him play against. Except for the fact I saw him play for the Complex League team. So
yeah, and then their other prep pick, Brandon Winokur, hit the IL on Saturday. But there is Charlie Soto, who's had a pretty tough year, but interesting.
Yeah.
So overall, not really a huge week. So we just want to see lots of home runs this week.
And watch the Greensboro game because that field looks really small. Like it looked really small. And
but I looked at the park factors, and it is not a home run friendly park.
I don't buy that. That's insane because obviously Mitch Jebb isn't going to put a jolt into any baseball, but he definitely didn't put a jolt into that home run, and it just kind of carried out.
Well,
either that or the wind was blowing out really bad that game.
Yeah, the 2022 to 2023 splits on Baseball America, if I recall correctly, it was an 87 park factor overall, but it was an 86 for right-handed hitters, and I think I said 89 for left-handed hitters.
Something like that. Yeah. Mitch
I know. Incredible, then. Yeah, I know that Winston-Salem dash right field wall, that thing's like 6 inches tall. That wall's great.
Yeah.
But
all right. Well, interesting week. It was weird waking up Monday morning and knowing that I actually had to quote unquote work and do stuff and get ready for games and do some writing and stuff like that. Monday's usually my easy day, but I guess I get a little two-day break at next week, so that's cool.
Yeah, I was more just upset there weren't any more day games. I figured if they were playing.
Yeah, and then it looked like I looked at least for Altoona and Greensboro, I didn't notice any day games or anything like that, at all throughout the week.
Hmm.
You would think there'd be some, or they try to slide some, especially on the 4th or something like that. But I guess maybe they want to, so they could do fireworks after the game and stuff like that. So it's better just to do a night game then. I don't know. We'll see. Should be some fun stuff.
Keep an eye out for jersey auctions.
Yeah. Got to lay claim to some of the players and whatnot, right?
Yep. Ashcraft and Ercolani. Ercolani showed up. I'm waiting on Ashcraft.
Did it?
Supposed to be here today or tomorrow.
I'll text you my address so you can send it to me. Well, that is gonna do it for us today. Nola, any Nola knowledge for us? And then what's the socials? Where can people reach you at?
Get some sleep. That's my Nola knowledge.
No, yeah, sleep is very important, as I know because I don't sleep much, and I know I should be sleeping more.
Which I guess I'll get a little extra tomorrow morning because I got a flip-flop schedule. So, Twitter at Nola Jeffy, NOLAJEFFY. Same name as on Bob's Squad. Bucks on deck.
Yep. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at _Murphy88. Subscribe to Bucks on Deck, Substack. we are about 2 weeks away from the 1 year anniversary of Bucks on Deck. So really excited for that.
Which I guess technically that will be the post draft drop.
Yeah. Yep. I wanted to get you with you about some stuff that like what we can be doing for like draft week and stuff like that. Where we can do that like after the show and everything like that. But subscribe to the site. I'm gonna have a breakdown of our boy Miss Jeb later this week. Gonna go over some of the stuff that kind of was good to see from the previous week. He had a really good week. Was the South Atlantic League Player of the Week. So expect a breakdown of that later this week. And check back into the site every day. We kind of recap the thing recap the previous day in the morning. We have a game day thread to where you could come talk about the game with other fans and whatnot. And then our daily feature where we kind of update and break down what's going on in the system. But yeah, thanks for everyone tuning in, and have a good one, and we'll see you next week.
Deuces.